A lot goes on in this movie, and I have got a lot to say. But before that, I tried my best to make a Star Wars saga video before this film came out. But the reality is, I did not have the time I required to make the video I wanted to make. The good news is, I still plan on making that video. The catch is, I will be making 2 videos. One will cover the prequels, one will cover the original trilogy. I would make one big video, but I am just too anxious, so there's that. Now, let's dive into the film that to fans is the awakening of Star Wars, and to Disney is the awakening of the box office. So long, Avatar. Star Wars: The Force Awakens. In my opinion, this is J.J. Abrams' best film. The story follows a stormtrooper called Finn and a scavenger called Rey. After fleeing from Kylo Ren and the First Order, Finn ends up on Jakku and meets Rey and a droid called BB-8. With Kylo Ren out for blood and the whereabouts of Luke Skywalker, the 3 flee via the Millennium Falcon and end up meeting Han Solo and Chewbacca. Then, through an encounter with one of Solo's allies, they obtain Luke's lightsaber. They then meet General Leia and plan an attack on the First Order with the Resistance. It all ends in a snowy forest with a lightsaber duel with Kylo Ren. To give context for how familiar I am with Star Wars, I have to date seen all 6 live-action films, and going into this one, all I was expecting was to enjoy myself. I am by no means a big Star Wars geek, but I do love sci-fi films like this because they aim to transport you into these fantastic worlds where practically anything seems possible. And coming out of this film, what struck me most was how the energy of the story came back. There is an urgency that's clear as day that was not there in the prequels. And thanks in large part to that factor, I left wanting more Star Wars, and I think that speaks to the power of how with a new director and a fresh vision, a franchise that began decades ago can still bring hope and inspiration to a new generation. It is also with the general release of this film that it's become that much more apparent to me how Star Wars is such a powerful story that we as a culture now not only look forward to the release of the films, but also to videos made by fans who upload to sites like YouTube. It's amazing because when all the previous Star Wars films came out, that possibility didn't exist. I mean, you would talk about it with your friends, but there was no way to share your thoughts on the film with someone in a different part of the world. But now we can, and it's so cool, because before YouTube came, everyone who loves Star Wars knew it was a big deal, and that a lot of people connect with the story. But until those fan videos, it was more just an idea than a physical reality. And I think it's phenomenal that we can now connect with those fans who live in a country or a state far, far away. Not to sound too cheesy. Getting back to episode 7, given how it plays out, it was very easy for me to have fun with this movie. There was rarely a time when I was not smiling, and I'm going to go full nerd on you and say that I saw this in IMAX 3D, and when the sequence shot using IMAX cameras came on, I cried. I couldn't help it. I was already happy they shot on 35, which brought an amazing depth and richness to the colors, but when that sequence came on, the experience went to a level even I wasn't expecting, and it was just, for me, overwhelmingly emotional. I think one among many things The Force Awakens does really well is pose questions that excite rather than frustrate. Oftentimes, tentpole movies are required to plant an idea in the audience's brain and then make us wait for the answer. But when you think about it, how often do you really look forward to finding out the answer? The storytellers hold the power of time, and if they fail to make you want the answer, the when they reveal the answer, has no weight. Thankfully, in this film's case, Both Abrams and Kasdan were able to utilize their creative wisdom to make it so I look forward to learning more about the First Order and the characters. As for the actors portraying these characters, they were chosen really well. From Oscar Isaac to John Boyega to Daisy Ridley, all three are likable and intelligent. And speaking of intelligent, the filmmakers made the absolute right choice and pulled off the action using a combination of practical and visual effects. And given the blockbusters these past few years, I so admire them for not leaning on CGI for every little thing. It is so easy nowadays to say, well, we can, so let's just do it digital. But no, Abrams and team got a spirit check and paid tribute to the first three films, and did a lot of in-camera wizardry, and let me tell you, it looks incredible. Major props must also be given to everyone in sound, production design, costume design, and hair and makeup. A big part of what makes Star Wars is how every environment and character within the world looks and sounds. We have this subconscious expectation so that if we're watching the movie and one thing doesn't look or sound right, no matter how small, a red flag goes off up here. Having said that, I can assure you the only flag that went off during this film was a victory flag. It's also only appropriate that I acknowledge John Williams for his score, which he first made famous in 1977. It is one that takes fans less than 1 second to resonate with, and goes to prove just how powerful and emotional and iconic music can be for film. It's also one of the elements that shows how the filmmakers pulled off that balance of including both classic and new generation filmmaking styles, including using motion capture to tell the story. I think for me though, the most rewarding part of this film were the characters. Poe is that friend you want in your life who is honorable, funny, and cuts right to the chase. Finn is delicate, hilarious, and follows his heart. Rey is confident, curious, and a warrior at heart. BB-8 is just plain awesome. As for Kylo Ren, he is a very complex and angry soul who desperately wants to be Darth Vader and also has serious daddy issues. Ring a bell? Choosing a favorite scene is really hard for me because I really want to say the IMAX chase scene, but that scene will only be as effective and epic in IMAX. So I'm going to go with actually a scene where a character dies. And I love this scene because the way the death is pulled off, both physically and emotionally, is so perfect. And I actually found myself internally, when it happened, having a Blu-ray Darth Vader moment. It was a douchebag move, but in all likelihood, it will be an event that haunts the killer for the next few films, and I believe, upon reflection, will lead that character to either A, switch sides, or B, kill themselves. To me, either is a possibility, and I think that's partly why this film has been so well received, is because it's not only a return to form, but also we don't know for sure what's going to happen next. Abrams and company left us hungry for more. They did their job. My notes for improvement fall under story choices. The first out of 2 deals with Maz Kanata, Solo's ally. In the greater scheme of the story, she has the potential to be a really fun and key role, but unfortunately in this film, she is nothing more than an exposition character, and basically what happens is, we are introduced to her, she talks, then the characters leave her location, and then the film and we the audience forget about her. It's pretty lame, especially since she's kind of like a stand-in for Yoda, and in all the films, Yoda was a key presence and basically a mentor, but in this film, Maz isn't a mentor, she's a plot point. Second, we have Luke Skywalker himself. For years, the fans have been speculating how the son of Darth Vader would make an appearance in this film, how he would be included in the story. We now finally have the answer. The problem is, it's not very satisfying. I think I get where Abrams and Kasdan were coming from with their choice, but regardless of their intentions, his part could have been a lot stronger. As it is now, it's meh. The good news is that is the only part of this film I would dare call meh. The whole package is one for the books, both financially and for Star Wars. Abrams and company put their best foot forward and paved the way for what I have no doubt will be a very inspiring trilogy. The Force Awakens gets 4 out of 5 stars. And for 2015, that's a wrap. Go out, see a movie, get inspired, and I will see you in 1 week.